Hello everyone, and welcome to another review video where I go over the work I did this week and do some self-critique. As we know, self-critiquing your work is crucial to improvement. How do you know what you need to learn if you don't discover and analyse your mistakes? The only thing is, have you been busy or distracted to draw over the holidays? Because I know I was. I did intend to stay on track at first, but honestly, it didn't take long for things to fall away and just fall too far behind for me to catch up. So I decided that it was okay to put things on hiatus until things are somewhat back to normal. Otherwise, I would get a bit upset at not being able to keep up my schedule, and while I would have done that in the past, I would like to think that I can learn to be more forgiving. So I did let myself off the hook a bit to get through. So let's take a look at the work from the last 2 weeks and see what happened and if we can improve on anything for next time. As I said, the theme for this week was to just draw anything and experiment. So I did, and this came out. I experimented with laying down and brushing in some vine charcoal on the page and then spraying it down with hairspray because I don't have proper fixative, so I just make do with what I've got, and that's fine. And I just used normal pencils over the top. My thinking was that I can pretend it's toned paper, but yeah, no surprises, that didn't work. As I was drawing, I could barely see my pencil strokes, and this made it hard to see what I was doing in the first place, so I tried pressing harder, but there was no saving it. It's a mess. I thought I could use white pencil over the top, but that's also a no-go as well. It just doesn't feel nice to draw on, and I ended up working so much harder to get any graphite over the top of this, and it's no surprise I wanted to give this up as soon as I could tell it wasn't going to work. Also, the page accidentally got ripped out, no idea how, but I'm not completely unhappy if I lose it. So, lesson learned, working pencils over sprayed in charcoal does not work, at least not for being used in this way. But it was an experiment, I let it go, I just let it happen. Moving on to day 2, and in the spirit of experimenting or using things I don't often use, I decided to use ballpoint pen. I wanted to see if I could use the 4 colours that came with the pen. I know in more skilled hands there are people out there that can do amazing drawings with ballpoint pen, but mine is average at best. I don't know, maybe all the distractions around at the time, but I think it shows that I was just trying to hurry this and get something done without much thought put into it. Luckily, I made this week a free draw. I just knew I was never going to be able to concentrate properly. Still, even though I don't like this, I think that it was a nice change to get used to pen, and I should do some more pen sketches in the future while watching TV or something like that. I think it's quite a useful medium for that type of scenario. So tell me if you struggled to draw over the holiday period. What kind of distractions did you have, and how did you change your drawing schedule to fit the madness that was going on? Then on the next day, because I didn't like my results from the previous day, I knew I couldn't sit and draw for long, and I fell back to just drawing a few heads. Nice and easy and comfortable, didn't even experiment with anything. I still have some issues to work out with drawing heads, and I think that's just an ongoing thing of learning over time. But I am confident I can get better control over what I'm seeing to do it better in the future if I just keep drawing them. They'll get better over time. More and more I can spot my errors, even if I can't really fix them just yet. I know that these areas are something that I need to work on, and that's progress. That's a step in the right direction. And it's nice when I notice that I'm making less and less of the same errors. I think my common ones that I still need to work on are the back of the head or the overall head shape, and then fitting the face on, especially between the eyes and the mouth. I think I often make the nose too long, so I've been working on that, and it's actually been quite difficult. I just need more practice, I think. And then aligning the features up and drawing the mouths. For some reason, mouths seem to cause me a little bit of problems at the moment. I wasn't aware of that before, but I am now, and I guess that's a good thing. So I do have other smaller issues with my hair drawings, but these are the bigger, more noticeable ones for me. How about your drawings? Do you have common errors that you just keep doing over and over, and you're noticing them more and more often? It does get frustrating, but I think this is actually a good thing, because I think it's a step in recognizing, and then you need to recognize where the errors are before you can start fixing them. So it's a positive thing, even though it doesn't feel like it. Anyway, day 4 was actually done after Christmas, and things were starting to settle back down a little bit. I was able to concentrate for about approximately an hour that this took, and I had an idea of adding colour, but because I haven't used colour in such a long time, this This was a bit of an experiment for me. I remember a long time ago I wanted to do something similar, but I got scared off by the thumbnail and I chickened out. And this was back in, actually when I looked it up, it's September 2021. So this week was the time to try it out and see if it works. And I like it. The face is a little bit too big though and a little bit off, but I like the overall concept. I also tried to keep my pencil work a little bit neater, even though it doesn't look like it. Sometimes it just gets, I don't know, I just get tired of it. I don't know. It's like I hit a limit and it just starts to get messy again. But I am trying to tidy it up on every drawing. I am conscious of it. I might not be able to fix it on that particular drawing, but I am thinking about ways of fixing it. So that's a start. Anyway, I like it and I might try this again in the future. So for day 5 started going south pretty quickly in the initial stages. I started to flatten out the angle of the head compared to the reference, and I was so disappointed that I didn't see it until I was already half an hour in. And I just didn't have the energy to make any big changes at this stage, so I just went with it. It does look different from the reference, but on its own, it's not too bad. I kind of like the hairstyle, and I think there is a little bit of a start on getting some mood in there with the pencil shading. So I could have continued on with it and see how far I could take it, but I get tired. I was still getting tired really easily, and I was just thinking I just want to get it done after about an hour of sitting at the table. It seems to be my limit for concentration before I need to take a break, and unfortunately I rarely go back to a drawing or painting after that. I generally want to move on to the next thing. It's just really hard for me to keep working on the same thing for me. It takes too much effort to fight it, so I choose other battles and I just do what I can with the amount of concentration I have at the time. And this one wasn't much of an experiment other than the pencil shading behind the head. I just wanted to try a non-uniform shading to frame her. And at the end, I think it came out okay. Like I said, it doesn't look anything like the reference though. So what did I learn this week? Well, mostly that I can't force myself to sit and draw when there are other things going on around me. The drawings will suffer and my mind is just elsewhere. I would have to shut out all exterior stimuli, so using noise cancelling headphones and shutting the door to start with where I draw. But I didn't want to do that at the time, so I let myself off the hook this time, but I don't want to get into a habit of making excuses too often, especially on normal days, because I can see how I could start slacking off quite easily. At least I know now that I will have to come up with coping strategies if I ever end up in a distracting environment with lots of other things going on. Even having another person in the house is just a huge distraction for me. It's crazy, but it's just so hard to concentrate. I also learned that sometimes the most valuable learning comes from our experiments and mistakes. If I take the attitude that I need to make lots and lots of failures to find the few that actually work, I will be happier to make those disaster drawings. Even now when I think of it, this was supposed to be my worst sketchbook, and when did that change? I was supposed to draw all the crappy stuff in here, and somewhere along the way I forgot that. I put invisible expectations on it. So I'm reminding myself to embrace the mess and not worry about making a mess in this sketchbook. Did you get much drawing done over the holidays? How did you cope with distractions? And all the food. I put myself into a food coma a couple of times. I could barely keep myself awake, let alone pick up a pencil. But I hope you all had a great time, and I hope that there is something in this video that might help, even if it's just encouragement to keep going. And if you're feeling a bit down about your progress, remember that we can all draw, learn, and get better at it. So here's to a successful and creative new year, and I will see you on the next video next Monday.